and the procedures, Mr. Speaker. Having said that, I think it is important for me to point out that it is not proper that we just sweep under the carpet the issue of the irregularity that the committee went ahead and literally engaged in, Mr. Speaker. The ad hoc committee that was set up is rooted from the liaison committee. The liaison committee, as I'm reminded, is actually under select committees. Under the select committees, Mr. Speaker, we are guided by procedures and rules on how to conduct our meetings, how the meetings are chaired, how the meetings, can be conducted, all those procedures. As a matter of fact, I had to go back and do a refresher course on my standing orders, from standing order 197 to standing order 228, Mr. Speaker. In there, you will see how committees, committee work, meetings, and all sorts of committee business is conducted, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, to have a group of senators convene without the proper procedures, Mr. Speaker, and actually travel and go out and allegedly conduct committee work without Hansard, Mr. Speaker, as I am informed, that there was not even a Hansard secretariat to sit down and document on all the meetings and engagements that were being held, and document on even the witnesses they were allegedly going to see, Mr. Speaker. Then I ask myself, because I'm a new senator, if we are going to be the House of Oversight, how then can we come and say that Pastor Ezekiel or Mackenzie or the Interior Minister are out of order, when ourselves, Mr. Speaker, we cannot follow our standing orders? How then do we have the moral authority to even table, allegedly, a report, Mr. Speaker? And Mr. Speaker, as I weigh in on this...
Senator Gloria, one moment. What is your point of order, Senator Mungatana?
Mr. Speaker, I had the rare privilege of chairing this committee. Mr. Speaker, the issue that Senator Gloria is raising has been canvassed before this House. We have, in fact, discussed it, and the Speaker has given a ruling on it. Is it in order for the Senator to resurrect the same matter which has been given directions on by the Speaker in this House? Mr. Speaker, maybe there are many other issues to debate in this report, but is it proper for the Senator to revisit an issue that has been debated and it has been given direction and a ruling given? To resurrect it, Mr. Speaker, it is a show of bad faith on the part of the Senator, Mr. Speaker. Maybe you can give us guidance, Mr. Speaker.
What is your point of order, Senator Mohamed Faki?
I have listened to Senator Roba alleging that the select committee is under the guidance of the liaison committee. Under which standing order does it provide that the select committee is under the guidance of the liaison committee? Number two, Honorable Speaker, I've looked at the standing orders that she had alluded to, but none of them supports the assertions that she's making before this House, Mr. Speaker. We know she may be a novice senator, but the mistakes that she's making are not proper, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Cherargei, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, Standing Order 92, 93, 98, 101, 101. Mr. Speaker, what Senator Gloria is doing is debating. In the rules of debate, you are not guided on what to say or what not today. Mr. Speaker, under the standing orders, so long as it does not, I didn't listen to Senator Gloria, Mr. Speaker, sir, trying to cast aspersion on the report. He is stating a fact that the select committee visited Makwiny without your approval. It is a fact. Let us deal with facts. There was no answer. It is a fact. They travel without your approval. Any senator who travels outside this country must get the permission and the approval of the Speaker. It is a fact. Mr. Speaker, I think Senator Gloria Orwoba is in order to debate within, unless, Mr. Speaker, these colleague senators will introduce gagging orders that are telling, Mr. Speaker, that you need to debate in a certain manner. The rules of debate are very clear. So long as you don't impugn on article or standing. Mr. Speaker, can you protect me from the shouting?
Can you conclude? Because
yes, I'm concluding, but they are shouting all over.
Conclude
Yes,
your point.
Mr. Speaker, you know what? Maybe there are things they ate in Makwiny that is making them to shout. Mr. Speaker, 101, Mr. Speaker, is very clear. There are contents of speech, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the contents of speech is very clear understanding on the 101, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I request that Senator Gloria Orwoba be protected to debate as she wishes. Even if she wants to discuss about the weather, so be it, because the rules of debate are very clear.
What is your point of order, Senator Onyonka?
Mr. Speaker, we have absolutely no interest in stopping my sister Gloria Orwoba discussing matters pertaining to what actually transpired over the Shakahola investigations. What I have a problem about, Mr. Speaker, is that the very essence of this House, the very word known as integrity, the ability for this House to be left with, to do its job without being blackmailed and without being put on the spot, whereby there are aspersions and allegations being laid out on this floor by my sister, where Honorable Cherargei thinks, Mr. Speaker, that the reason why we went to Kilifi was to go and eat, the way he normally likes to eat. Mr. Speaker, and my colleague, Mr. Cherargei, we don't like eating as much as you eat. We went to Shakahola, and let me inform you, we went to get the information without having it on the Hansard for the simple reason that what we want to get is information that was validating what we had already tabled in the Hansard. So I don't mislead my young sister to deal with non-issues. Let her deal with the issues of why we got Shakahola. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mungatana, what is your point of order?
Speaker, I just, I like to listen to debate, Mr. And it's not in my habit, actually, to intervene on points of orders, because I like to listen to debate and hear what people have to say. But, Mr. Speaker, did you hear the Honorable Cherargei quoting Standing Order 93, 92, 98, 101? And none of those, Mr. Speaker, are relevant to what he's saying, Mr. Speaker. None of them. Mr. Speaker, it is not fair, it is actually not fair to stand up, take the time of this House, and talk about things that are not relevant. Mr. Speaker, earlier in the day, the Honorable Senator Sifuna had raised the question of frivolous point of orders, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, we are requesting that we who want to listen be allowed to listen, not interventions that are not adding any value. And Mr. Speaker, guide the young senator to stick to the issues. They should not try to go back to rulings that have been made in this House. Mr. Speaker, this is a House of order. If someone doesn't want to listen, they can go and make noise outside, not in the House.
Thank you. Senators, honorable senators, I have followed all the point of orders. I would like to start by first of all cautioning Senator Gloria Orwoba and refer you to Standing Order 101-2, that it shall be out of order to introduce an argument which has already been discussed in this House. So while making your submission, stay away from gray areas if you're not sure. Senator Cherargei, I will refer you to Standing Order 120, irrelevant or repetition and quoting standing orders which were not relevant to your point of order. Well, you stated several standing orders. You should have stuck to the one which was particularly important to your point of order. So on that one, I will caution you. Senator Roba, please proceed with your submission.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided. Allow me.
And one more thing, Senator Roba.
Yes.
You did mention that you're still fairly new in understanding the standing orders. When a select committee is sent out, it is not necessary that it has to be recorded on Hansard or there have to be a secretariat. What is important is what is captured in the report. And that is why you're making your submissions now on the report.
Mr.
So
Speaker, I stand guided. And Mr. Speaker, for the record, kindly protect me. For the record, Mr. Speaker, let it be noted that all the standing orders that I mentioned, 197 to 228, guide us on matters business that is being connected under select committees. Mr. Speaker, I'm finding it very, very difficult each and every day when we come to give contributions, particularly as young women senators, that we keep on getting all this it's like, I've heard Senator Mungatana, Mr. Speaker, stand up and say, guide the young senator. Mr. Speaker, some of this terminology and allusions of discriminating senators based on their gender, based on their age, Mr. Speaker, this culture must stop. Mr. Speaker, as I continue to give my submissions, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Roba.
I would like...
Senator Roba, just a moment. Senator Roba, just to understand, do you have an issue with being called young by Senator Mungatana?
Mr. Speaker,
being referred as a young person?
Mr. Speaker, it is the context with which the senators use it. It is demeaning. It is downgrading, Mr. Speaker, and we are tired. We are tired.
Senator
Mr. Speaker,
Mungatana,
allow me to continue with my submissions.
Senator Mungatana, what is your point of order?
Speaker, the Honorable Senator Oroba, let me just say, the very, very Honorable Senator Oroba actually said in her own submissions that we young senators who are novice, we are learning. Am I not in order, Mr. Speaker, to just say you are the young senator, having heard her say what she had referred herself to? Mr. Speaker, I think, Mr. Speaker, with due respect, I am pleading with the House, Mr. Speaker, if you have content, to let us hear the content. We actually sat here, and there are so many senators here who want to hear content. We don't want drama. We just want to hear content. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Cherargei, what is your point of order? It has been stopped.
Mr. Speaker, on your direction standing order number 1, and of course number 98 is point of order is a right. Mr. Speaker, what I want to know, and everybody knows, under this standing order, there is nowhere that says young or old senator. It says the senator. So, Mr. Speaker, can I, Mr. Speaker, the context. Mr. Speaker, the context of saying the young senator, that context is wrong. It's like they're saying the woman senator or the old senator, Mr. Speaker. The standing order refers only to a senator. It does not say the young, old, or a woman, or a PWD senator. Mr. Speaker, let us follow the standing order.
Thank you,
and
Senator.
some of us will not be intimidated by shouts. I can tell you for free.
Honorable senators, if I may rule on this, the reference that Senator Mungatana made was directly picked up from your own comment, Senator Oroba. No, Oroba, when you were making your submissions, you did declare that you're a novice senator, young senator. Don't engage the chair, Oroba, just listen. This, what happened was, I mean, the phrase young or youthful is a terminology of fact. You cannot walk away from it. Now, the thing is, honorable senators, we all know of the old adage that says, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Being youthful and young cannot only be used to your advantage. Parliamentarians also have the Young Parliamentarian Association, which I'm sure you also subscribe to. So the terminology of fact still remains that you're a member who's youthful and young, or a novice, as Senator Faki puts it. So don't take offense with that terminology. Please proceed and submit your...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm guided by the old senator. Mr. Speaker, I want to now stay away from the, as you said, I'm guided not to talk about whether or not it was against our standing orders. Mr. Speaker, I want to go ahead and say that perhaps my message is that we should continue to hold our standing orders high, Mr. Speaker, and to remember that even as we are sent out there are procedures, and we must follow them, Mr. Speaker, so that when we are tabling any report here, the report can actually be taken with the seriousness that it deserves, and that we might not be suspicious of anything, Mr. Speaker. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that for me, it is two things that have come out. In the report, there is a whole section where we are talking about cults, the definition of cults, and all of that, Mr. Speaker. But I have not seen a recommendation where the committee then says that we are going to legislate around the illegality of cults, Mr. Speaker. Because the problem that we have is not to regulate religious institutions. The problem that we have, and I have said this before, is that we have no legal definition of what constitutes of a cult. And we have no legal definition of what constitutes of cultic behavior. So therefore, someone wants to wake up and say, and I've seen in part of the recommendations that we must, recommendation 502, where they say that we must regulate religious institutions. Mr. Speaker, I ask this, and I am a Christian, but I ask this, who is going to play God? Who will now come and say, I am God, and I'm going to regulate Seventh-day Adventists, and from today you must eat meat? Or who is going to come in and say, I am God, I'm going to regulate the Catholics and you are not going to use the rosaries and whatnot? Mr. Speaker, it is completely insane that, and this I find very disappointing, that a whole committee can sit down and say, let us regulate religious institutions. Where do you start, Mr. Speaker? Who will now act God? Who will decide that the Catholics have actually...
Senator Mungatana, what is your point
Mr.
of order?
Speaker, I must be protected. Those are frivolous points of order.
No, it's not for you to determine, Senator Ruoba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is obvious, Mr. Speaker, that the honorable senator who is addressing us has not read the report, has not understood what self-regulation is or regulation of religious organization is all about. Mr. Speaker, when you're talking about religious organization and regulation of them, you are not talking about rosaries. You're not talking about telling them to eat meat or not to eat meat. Mr. Speaker, and someone using words like insane, and you are the one who has not understood what we are talking about. Mr. Speaker, if you don't have content, please allow other senators who want to debate to debate.
That is contemptuous.
That is what we are talking about.
Senator Ruoba.
Contemptuous.
That's wrong.
What is your point of order, Senator Eddy?
Mr. Speaker, you know, I'm rising under point of order number 105. Actually read together with 101. Because, you know, Senator Gloria has used terms like it is insane that this committee would make certain recommendation, which for me, it borders, you know, throwing aspersions on the entire committee, actually, on the entire individuals who are in this committee, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, you know, if you are going to take a section of the report, a line that perhaps was sometimes a summary, Mr. Speaker, the committee has provided to this House an entire legislative proposal in that report. On, I'm on a point of order. What is wrong, Mr. Speaker, with the Senator? Mr. Speaker, there is an entire legislative proposal on how to handle the misgivings that we are seeing in the religious institutions. If you haven't read this report, Mr. Speaker, then how can we have even a dialogue in this House? And Mr. Speaker, I want to beg Mr. Speaker, the members of the House, that the issue of Shakahola is not a theater for drama or a theater for some cheap popularity on the floor of this House. Because there are serious lives that were lost. I would wish that as honorable senators, we can be able to discuss the issues we have raised in a way that can be able to give even some families who haven't buried their beloved ones some solace. I beg of the senators that let us not use it as a theater of politics and a theater of drama. When you have a report on your hand, they are very well detailed stuff, and actually there is a whole legislative proposal with regards to what you're quoting. So take your time, go read, come back to the House, and then you're able to contribute meaningfully. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator John Methu, what is your point of order?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also note, because I think many people want to contribute to this particular motion. I am also here. I want to contribute. But I am rising on Standing Order 114 on imputing improper motives on your colleagues. I know the Honorable Senator Mungatana is worked up because they have committed a lot of their time, a lot of their energy trying to look at this report. But as it is in the rules of debate, we must be tolerant to each other. You must tolerate my thoughts. You must tolerate my thinking. That is the reason why this report has to be brought to the House, so that we can debate and we can enrich it and we can share our mind. So, Honorable Speaker, I find it, and you must find the Honorable Senator Mungatana out of order by, number one, imputing that Senator Gloria has not read the report. Because he has no evidence that he has not read. That is, please allow them, allow me to just make, to make my final comment. Yes. Honorable Speaker, yes. You must then also find him out of order, yes, to impute that Senator Gloria does not have content, because he said, he actually said, Honorable Speaker, that if you do not have content, then sit down and allow the other people. Honorable Speaker, you must find the chair of the Select Committee, Honorable Danson Buya Mungatana, out of order. And he must withdraw, apologize, and take his time.
And allow us to debate the report.
Senator Mungatana, you had already made a point of order. Go ahead, make your point of order.
Mr. Speaker.
Because you mentioned him specifically.
Yes, so I have a right of reply. Honorable Senator John Methu has said that there might have, I said that Senator Gloria has not read. Mr. Speaker, there was a great member of parliament here, Jean-Marie Soroné, who said, this House, when he was challenged to substantiate, he said, you cannot substantiate the obvious. Mr. Speaker, when someone stands and starts saying regulation of churches is to tell them not to eat meat if you are SDA, that's a person who has not read the report. When you say the Catholics should not use the rosary, that's a person who has not read the report. He's completely out of order because he's misinforming the public using this prime podium, Mr. Speaker, to say things that are not in the report. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to quote again for the satisfaction of Honorable Senator Methu that we cannot substantiate the obvious. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What is your point of order, Senator Charargei?
Mr. Speaker, as you rule, Mr. Speaker, as I agree that every member has a right to raise on a point of order. Is it in order for the Senator Danson Buya Mungatana to assert that there are members of Senate who do not have content or have not read? Does he have readometer? Does he have readometer, Mr. Speaker, to know who has read to which level or not, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, the rules of debate, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the rules of debate, the reason this report was brought before the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker, with a lot of tremendous respect, was for us to debate on it. If the committee felt that some of us would not give an opinion of what they did, then what is the reason we're having this debate? Mr. Speaker, I'm saying the Senator Mungatana should be ruled totally out of order. Not only out of order, Mr. Speaker, because you cannot be saying and casting aspersions. You can imagine, as he said, we have the prime platform. You can imagine Kenyans will now believe that Senator Gloria Ruoba does not have content. Yet we know Senator Gloria Ruoba is one of the finest senators in this House, Mr. Speaker. You must protect your members, Mr. Speaker. We don't want Senator Gloria to be harassed on the streets because Senator Mungatana says she's one of the best and finest, Mr. Speaker, that we have.
Senator Mazayo and Senator Eddy, you cannot direct the chair.
Correct. It should be thrown out.
Honorable senators,